Hey y'all, it's the WDVX Blue Plate special right here in beautiful downtown Knoxville, Tennessee. We're here hanging out inside Visit Knoxville, and you too can feel free to come join us if you like. But if you can't be here in person, know that it's streaming live right now on all of our socials, as well as our YouTube channel where you can watch it back later at your convenience as well. Today, our guest is totally new to us here at WDVX. As a matter of fact, he's visiting with us from Australia. And you too here in the Knoxville area can get a second chance to see him here later this week. We'll talk more about that in just a minute. You all give a great big welcome to Pete Denahy to the Blue Plate Special.
Thank you, Red. Thanks very much, folks. Wonderful to be here in... Oh, actually, I should start with g'day, y'all. G'day, y'all. And I'm going to start with a song I wrote about an old blacksmith. It's called The Ringing of the Steel. The old man used to tell me when I was just a boy, he was blessed because he had a job that he enjoyed. Not everyone would like it, but to him its main appeal was the breathing of the bellows and the ringing of the steel. I started working early, holding horses for my pa. 'Twas a little town we lived in, only one man had a car, and the old man used to watch him whenever he drove past. He said, it's just a fad, you know, it's never gonna last. All around the forge, the old man strolled, grabbed a bit of iron, shoved it in the coals. He was good at what he did, and he cut an honest deal amongst the breathing of the bellows and the ringing of the steel. The old man's head got greyer, but that didn't slow him down. He kept on shoeing horses that were brought from round the town. He showed me bits and pieces, and before too long I could make a decent set of shoes and shape and whack 'em on. We'd sometimes have a shoeing race and sweat from start to end. The old man was the master, but sometimes he'd let me win. And a crowd of eager passers-by would watch the mad ordeal amongst the breathing of the bellows and the ringing of the steel. Well, after years of teaching, after years of toil, the old man was buried deep in mountain soil. I kept on with the shoeing, but the job was in recess. The old man wasn't right about the motor car, I guess. Now I've all but had it, and the forge is very quiet, but I heat the coals up now and then and tinker around inside. I'd do it for the old man and remember how I'd feel amongst the breathing of the bellows and the ringing of the steel. The ringing of the steel. Thank you. Thanks very much. Well, now one thing Red didn't mention was that I come from a little town in called Yakandanda in southeast Victoria, and I didn't actually give Red this information, but I'm Yakandanda's multi-award losing country singer. And I went to our national country music festival at a place called Tamworth, and we have the Golden Guitar Awards there, which is our country music awards. And I went there in 1991 as part of a competition called Star Maker, which launched Keith Urban's career in Australia. So I was in the grand final of that in 91 and I lost. Went in again in 92, lost again. Nominated for my first Golden Guitar in 94, which I didn't win. And then I lost Golden Guitars again in 98, 2000, 2003, 5, 7, And 2009 was my big year. I was nominated for 5 Golden Guitars, 3 Songwriting Awards, and a People's Choice Award, 9 awards all up, and I lost all of them. So I've built a career on award loss, and I'm very, very proud of that. But this is a song off my latest record, and it's based on whenever my wife asks me to do a job, and it's called Tomorrow. Well, tomorrow is my busiest day, and everything will be okay. Just harness up and put the plow in the furrow. My back might just give way if I tempt those jobs today, but rest assured it'll all get done tomorrow. I'll fix that cupboard door, whack the nails back in the floor. I'll empty out that drawer, just you watch me. It's gonna be intense. I'll paint that picket fence. Once the works commence, no one can touch me. 'Cause tomorrow's my busiest day. Just watch me slaving away. There'll be holes to dig and tools I need to borrow. I'm afraid there is no way I could possibly do it today. But don't worry, babe, it'll all get done tomorrow. I'll fix that dripping tap, get the grease out of the trap. It'll all get done ASAP, but I won't hurry. I'll do it properly. I'll prune the apple tree and clean up the debris, don't you worry. 'Cause tomorrow's my busiest day, and it's always been that way. When the sun peeks over the hill, hard work will follow. It's important that today I rest, so I'm at my physical best to tackle all the jobs I gotta get done tomorrow. Yes, the busiest day for me is always tomorrow. Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. Pete, say your last name for me.
Denahy.
Denahy.
Like Brian Denahy, just spelt different.
Okay.
The actor, Brian Denahy.
For some reason, I'm wanting to put extra syllables in there everywhere. That's what we do in the South.
Everyone has trouble with it, Reg.
So, let's talk a little bit about your journey here to music. You know, well, first, I want to go back and say something about those awards. Shmords, whatever, you know, because even if you didn't win all of those awards, you did win all the nominations, right?
Yeah,
and how
that's
many
right.
nominations over the years?
Oh, I've lost count,
So
Reg.
you might be the biggest winner of nominations.
Yeah,
you know, there's a silver lining here.
There is
somewhere.
a silver lining. You got to look at that. Yeah.
So let's go back and talk about your musical beginnings. Okay, so you come from a mix of cultures.
Yeah, my mum's Japanese, so and Dad met Mum in the late 60s when he was teaching over in Japan, in Hiroshima. He was teaching English there, and Mum was working in Yamaha Music, and she was working the record department, and Dad went in there one day and started buying some records, and then met Mum, and he kept buying more. And then they got married over there, and I tell people that the Japanese side of my heritage is the Asian part of me, and Denahy is an Irish name from Cork, so that makes me Caucasian. And not everyone can say it with that spelling, you know. So, and my Japanese grandfather was a well-known musician in Hiroshima. He's a cellist. So I actually grew up with more classical music. Mum and Dad were right into classical music, and there wasn't any country music in our house. But there's a distinct moment when I remember when I thought I've just got to get into country music. It was a movie called The Man from Snowy River came out, and after that I just wanted to get a horse. I just wanted to be the man from Snowy River, which was like an Australian Western. And then when I got the horse and started going to a few events where there's cattle and horsemen and women, and I thought, I better start listening to some country music. So I started listening to a fella named Slim Dusty, who was our king of Australian country music for over 50 years. And that was it. I was sort of hooked. And Slim was actually responsible back in the 70s, I think it was, for sort of introducing a bluegrass sound into country music in Australia. He got a couple of really good players from New Zealand, a husband and wife banjo and fiddle player. And when I was a kid and started hearing those sounds, I just fell in love with that sound. And then later on, one of Slim's guitar players introduced me to Doc Watson, and from there, I remember him giving me a recording of that original Will the Circle Be Unbroken album, and that introduced me to Lester and Earl and Vassar Clements and those guys. And then I just sort of moved on from there and just fell. And, you know, fiddle's something I play as well, something I still struggle with, you know, as I do with every instrument. It's a work in progress all the time.
Did I read did you play with Slim for a while?
Yes, I did. I went to see Slim live first when I was 13 years old, and I'd read all his books and knew all about him. And then 12 years later, I was in his band playing fiddle because I got to know his band members over the years, and Slim and his wife, and at different festivals. And that doesn't seem like long now, 12 years, but back then it was my whole life over again. So it seemed like I had to wait a long time before I got into his band. But I turned 25 on my first Slim Dusty tour. And that was a big thrill, you know, that because he was, even the last 4 years of his life, and I did the last 4 years of his touring life, he was still doing good shows, still running out for his encore on the very last show we played. And Slim's played the Grand Ole Opry here. And, yeah, so that was, you know, touring with Slim was a bit like touring with someone like Bill Monroe here. Yeah, he was packing the rooms out when he was, just before he died, yeah.
So you like to visit Japan a couple of times a year for music?
I do. I take groups of Australian music fans over there, and we sort of explore the country music and bluegrass venues in Japan, from Hiroshima to Tokyo. And there's some really great pickers over there. And when I tell that to an Australian audience, you know, when I'm advertising the trip, there's often a bit of they find it amusing when I say we're going over to see bluegrass and country music in Japan. But once we get there, everybody realises, oh, they just like the music the same as we do. And they're just right into it, and they learn all the licks, and there's some really good players over there, some great little venues, and it's just a lovely, just something a bit different, you know, because Japan's got a lot of similarities to the Western way of living, but when you get a bit closer, they really make it their own.
So, yeah, if you're interested in maybe attending one of those tours, you can find information on Pete's website as well. And I mentioned at the beginning of the show, you get a second chance to see him while he's here in town, as Friday night he'll be performing at the Laurel Theater, and tickets are available for that performance. And it looks like you've got some merch here in the house as well.
I've got some merch. I've been carrying around my merchandise, Red, for about 15 years. And I'm hoping I don't sell too many tonight, because I need some for my next show. Now, what I've got there is my latest record, and the little things Ron's holding up there are little kangaroo hide bracelets that I plait. They're 8 plait, and I buy kangaroo skins, and I cut it out with a little knife and pair it all up and stretch it out and grease it and plait it. And so I've got them there. I've brought a bunch of them over, so if you want to sort of leap out of here with a little bit of kangaroo on your arm, they're over there too.
Been shaking out him with him after the show. It's Pete Denahy
Denahy
on the Blue Plate Special.
Thanks very much, Red. Well, I'm going to do a song that I wrote about mobile phone use, because once upon a time it was all just teenagers that were looking at their phones. Now it's everybody. We're all glued to our little screens. And there's one word in this that isn't an American word. It's the word for, well, you say bathroom, we say toilet, and we've got a casual word for toilet over there. It's the word dunny. So when you hear the word dunny, that's what that means. So. I'm sitting at the bus stop and I'm looking at my phone, looking at my phone, looking at my phone. There's people all around me and I'm all alone, looking at my phone. I'm sitting in the movies and I'm looking at my phone, looking at my phone, looking at my phone. I need to check my Facebook while the ads are shown, looking at my phone. I'm sitting at the cafe and I'm looking at my phone, looking at my phone, looking at my phone. I need to send this pic to everyone I've ever known, looking at my phone. I'm sitting at the dinner table looking at my phone, looking at my phone, looking at my phone. I've heard you say it's going cold, will you just leave me alone? I'm looking at my phone. I'm standing in the checkout line looking at my phone, looking at my phone, looking at my phone. I've forgotten what I'm buying cause I'm really in the zone, looking at my phone. I'm sitting in the waiting room looking at my phone, looking at my phone, looking at my phone. Twitter's more important than a friggin' kidney stone, looking at my phone. I'm sitting on the dunny and I'm looking at my phone, looking at my phone, looking at my phone. Playing games of solitaire, look how time has flown, looking at my phone. Oh, I can't imagine living without looking at my phone, looking at my phone, looking at my phone. I love and care for all my friends, but always on my own, looking at my phone. Thank you. Now, I live in the middle of Yakandanda with my wife, who's got a little shop there, and we live out the back of the shop. And I've written this song. It's something that brings me undone a few times. Now, this is the shortest song I've ever written. I think it comes in at about 1:40. And I've tried to make it longer, and I thought, no, the song says everything it needs to, so when you hear it stop, that's the end, all right? I gotta be careful, I gotta be cautious. Observations where it's at, it isn't like drinking or leaving the seat up. It's a lot more serious than that. Early this morning, car in the driveway, she was heading into town. When she came back home a few hours later, my day came tumbling down. It all happened quickly. She walked in the kitchen and she asked me how I was. I said, pretty good, thanks. How was your morning? Then I started to worry because she put on the kettle and went very quiet, like a big freeze had begun. She gave me a smile without any sugar. Then I realized what I hadn't done. I didn't notice her hair. There was no difference, I swear. She was covered in foil. Now that's all been spoiled, and that's why I'm getting this glare. 5 hours in the chair. Now she thinks I don't care. Yeah, I'm out in the cold with no chance of parole. I didn't notice her hair. Thank you. That song's even shorter than an ad break on the television. So I mentioned Mum before, and I wrote a little song for Mum coming out to Australia all those years ago. Or, sorry, not coming out, going out to Australia. I'm in America. It's America's like that too. You know, you get to get here, and there's so many things the same as Australia. But two things I've noticed, and I forget, is that your switches go up when you turn them on. Ours go down. And the other thing is the moon is upside down here for me. I've got to see it the way I see it in Australia. I've got to turn up and look, it's amazing, isn't it? I don't know how that works, because I thought the Earth was flat, but no. But anyway, Mum came out to Australia in 1971, and it was like moving to a different planet back then. And it was, I think after there was a stopover in Hong Kong on the way down to Australia, and that's when Mum realised that this is a big undertaking, because, you know, back then we didn't have the internet and FaceTime and all the things that make distance a lot easier these days. But we lost dear old Dad about 3 years ago, and Mum and I were with him when he took his last breath, and very precious moment that. I'm sure a lot of you have been through similar things, but in amongst all the sadness and grieving, there's also the practical stuff that needs to keep happening. And a couple of days after Dad died, we're up at the Yakandanda Cemetery, Mum and I, with the cemetery man, and picking out a plot. Mum said, "This will be ours." And then I just said to Ian, the cemetery man, I said, "What's the go with all the plots going up that way?" He said, "They're all booked going up there." And I said, "What about the other way?" And he said, "The one next to your mum and dad's is free and the rest are all booked." So I said, do you think you could pencil in that one for me and my wife? He said, "Yep, no worries." So he writes it down. And I went back home and Ali put her hand on my shoulder and said, "How did you go up there, Dale? How was it?" And I said, "Yeah, I went all right." I said, I've booked our cemetery plot." And she gave me this look that I'd never seen on her face before, and I got that instant regret. I thought, I should have waited till Christmas. You know, just could have got a nice little voucher as a surprise. But anyway, this is a song I wrote for Mum called Paper Ribbon. White smoke rising to the sky, green water down below, long ribbon running to the wharf. My daughter, do you have to go? Hidden feelings and a smile, paper ribbon she's holding on. Goodbye, my girl, goodbye. I won't cry till the ship is gone. Paper ribbon, stay right here. Won't you hold that ship for me? I send my love on a paper ribbon across the endless sea. She sees her daughter waving, up high she quietly stands, and she sees the happy ribbon held tight in a trembling hand. She whispers a silent prayer, now and then a little wave, and two eyes just like hers look down from far away. Paper ribbon, stay right here. Won't you hold that ship for me? I send my love on a paper ribbon across the endless sea. Then a blast like a cannon sounds, and the angry water churns, and she holds the ribbon tighter as the big ship slowly turns. The paper breaks, but not her promise to hold her bitter tears, and her hand still holds the ribbon long after she's disappeared. Paper ribbon, stay right here. Won't you hold that ship for me? I send my love on a paper ribbon across the endless sea, across the endless sea. Thank you. All right, well, now I've got a beautiful fiddle here that's a little bit more fiddle than I really should be handling. This was played by the great Kenny Baker on a few Bill Monroe recordings, this fiddle. It belongs to my good friend here, Ron Eldridge, and thank you very much, Ron, for letting me play this fiddle. But I'll just do a simple little old-timey song here. Now where did you get them high-top shoes and that dress that you wear so fine? I got my shoes from a railroading man, my dress is from a driver in the mines. Hop high, hop high, hop high, my Lulu girl. Hop high, hop high, hop high, my Lulu girl. I'll pawn you my watch and I'll pawn you my chain. I'll pawn you my gold wedding ring. To pay my little Lulu gal's fines, I'll pawn you my wagon and my team. Hop high, hop high, hop high, my Lulu girl. Hop high, hop high, hop high, my Lulu girl. Now where have you been, my pretty little girl? And where have you been so long? I've been in the pen with them rough and rowdy men. I'm looking to go back again. Hop high, hop high, hop high, my Lulu girl. Hop high, hop high, hop high, my Lulu girl. Hop high, hop high, hop high, my Lulu girl. Thank you. Thank you, Ron.
It's Pete Denahy with us here on the Blue Plate Special. Quickly, I need to mention that support for the WDVX Blue Plate Special comes from listeners just like yourselves and from Barley's down in Knoxville's Old City. It is home of the Big Plate on Fridays at noon. This Friday, we will be having a Linda Ronstadt tribute. And you can find out a little bit more about that on our website at WDVX.com. Additional support comes from Modelo Especial and Corona Extra, along with Visit Knoxville. So I'm just curious about, your family was musical and you always had an interest in music. How old were you when you wrote your first tune?
I wrote my first song when I was 11. So I'd read there was a great Australian poet called Banjo Patterson, Andrew Barton Patterson. He was known as Banjo Patterson, and he wrote a poem called "The Man from Snowy River," which the movie was based on. He was actually a lawyer, but he loved the Australian bush and the bush life, and he wrote countless poems on Australian bush life and beautiful poems. And I was very influenced by him, and I wrote a song called "The Silver Brumby" when I was 11, and it was based on some books. So a Brumby is like a Mustang, they're wild horses over there, and they featured in the movie The Man from Snowy River. So a Brumby. And I wrote a song called "The Silver Brumby" based on some books, kids' books, that I'd read by a lady called Eline Mitchell from a town called Corryong in northeast Victoria. And that was my first song. And then after that, of course, a lot of the stuff that I wrote sounded like Slim Dusty. I remember my dad saying to me, "Oh, you've got to start sounding like yourself. You're trying to sound like Slim, you're trying to play like Slim." And it took me a while to sort of break out of that, because when you're influenced by someone as a kid, it's hard to, I mean, it's hard, you notice it now with young people when you go to a festival and they'll be sounding exactly like the people that they love listening to, which is understandable, but you do have to sort of break out into your own style. And it just sort of continued on from there. And I guess when I was about 17 or 18, I started venturing into a few of the less serious things. I enjoy doing the
Are books a regular thing that inspires your writing, or do you just...
No, not necessarily, no. A lot of my, say the comedy stuff, it just sort of, there'll be an idea, like someone might say something, or there just might be a situation that reminds me that, oh, I should maybe have a crack at writing a song about that. I've had a lot of people come up to me with ideas for comedy songs, but I rarely take them on. I find, right or wrong, I'd find it very difficult to co-write a comedy song, I think, because I guess it's just, and I say right or wrong, I could be, maybe it's something I should do, but I've co-written plenty of other straight songs, but the comedy stuff, I find I really have to do that myself, yeah.
Well, will you do a few more tunes for us?
I'll do a few more tunes for you. This is my biggest award-losing song, Red.
We can't wait.
This lost 3 golden guitars in the 2009 lot, the People's Choice Award, and we've got Australia's Got Talent on television, and I did it on Australia's Got Talent, where the first prize is $250,000, and it's lost that as well. It's about a teenager talking to his dad, and my wife and I don't have kids, unfortunately, but a friend of mine said to me once, look, you can recreate the joy of raising a teenager by talking to a brick wall and giving a lot of money to someone who thinks you're an idiot. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but anyway, here's a song. How have you been? Good. How's your dog? Good. How's college going? Good. All hunky-dory? Yep. You going out tonight? Yep. You going to see your friends? Yep. You going to have a good catch-up? Yep. Well, that should be great. Yep. Where'd you go? Nowhere. Who'd you see? No one. What'd you do? Nothing. Did you have a good time? Yep. What's on tonight? Nothing. You're not seeing your mates? No. You're just staying at home? Yep. What'll you do? Nothing. Yep, nothing, sort of, dunno, nowhere good, yep, no, dunno, no one, sort of, dunno, nothing. You feeling all right? Yep. How's your ankle? Good. When's your exam? Dunno. Have you done much study? No. What's on tomorrow? Dunno. You playing football? Dunno. You enjoying football? Sort of. Sort of, eh? Yep. Yep, nothing, sort of, dunno, nowhere good, yep, no, dunno, no one, sort of, dunno, nothing. How's your girlfriend? Good. She away this week? Yep. Oh, you must be missing her? Yep. Have you rung her yet? No. Well, I'll catch you later. Yep. Don't get too stressed. No. What's on tomorrow? What? What's on tomorrow? Nothing. Yep, nothing, sort of, dunno, nowhere good, yep, no, dunno, no one, sort of, dunno, nothing, all together now, yep, nothing, sort of, dunno, nowhere good, yep, no, dunno, no one, sort of, dunno, nothing. Yeah, whatever. Thank you. I shouldn't really call that a song, there's no singing in it. This is one I wrote. It's also on the record. I've in Yakandanda every Wednesday night we have a little jam session up at our local pub, and it's only about 3 or 4 doors up from our house. And midweek, and I go up there with my fiddle and be jamming away all night and get a few free drinks, and I might overdo it by a few pints. And then I get back home and I'm trying to, my wife can tell if I've done it, let's put it that way. So I took Wednesday Night Me and made him a little bit worse for this song. So if this was on Netflix, it's inspired by true events, this one. Not actually about me, all right? Well, he's out on the town with a wallet of cash, doing the rounds and making a splash. The shirt he's wearing is a bit too tight. He gave up the smokes, but he's smoking tonight. It's the middle of the week and his wife's at home. She's pretty darn used to being left alone, but she's got a new rule he has to keep if he wants somewhere to come home and sleep. He checks the time when he's through the door. Never been home late this early before. Well, it's changed his thinking. This new rule turned him into a kind of responsible fool. Has a little beer, has a little wine, does a few shots and he watches the time. He's got no idea how much he's blessed, but he keeps leaving home for his happiness. And the happiness doesn't last that long. Thumping head and happiness gone. Getting home tonight was a hell of a chore. Never been home late this early before. It's better for him, better for her. Things are better now than the way they were. He's got more money that he hasn't spent. They got more money to pay the rent. She got a little tired of his staying out late. Put a high-heel shoe on the party break. Gotta keep this rule, cause that's the law. Never been home late this early before. Well, it's a rule just a fool would attempt to break, and the thought of that, it just makes him shake. If he broke this rule, she'd have a fit. He loves her even though she scares him a bit, but he doesn't need the hassle, doesn't need the pain, and he knows it's fair she's tightened the reins. His party plan needs to be reviewed. He just sip a little quicker than he used to do. Gotta keep this rule, or she gonna make more. Never been home late this early before. It's better for him, better for her. Things are better now than the way they were. He's got more money that he hasn't spent. They got more money to pay the rent. She got a little tired of his staying out late. Put a high-heel shoe on the party break. Gotta keep this rule, cause that's the law. Never been home late this early before. Gotta keep this rule or there'll be a war. Never been home late this early before. Thank you very much.
It's Pete Denahy with us here today on the Blue Plate Special. If you are out there Googling DENAHY.
That's correct.
.com is where you find more information. Pete will be performing at the beautiful Laurel Theater coming up this Friday evening, so a second chance to get to see our new Australian friend while he's in the area.
Thank you, Rick.
How long are you going to be over in
America?
visiting?
Well, I've got a visa. I got a work visa before I came over, so it's actually a 3-year visa, but I'm just here for the month, and looking forward to looking at coming back every now and then. Like, you know, this is a real eye-opener for me, and just making contacts as I travel around. And we're in the south mostly, so beautiful part of America.
All right.
It's so interesting, you know, because every time there's a dot on the map here, it's a town. In Australia, there's a lot of that too, but there's a lot of places where there's a dot on the map and it's just a silo on a railroad crossing, you know. So it's it's very, and especially getting off the interstate and going the back roads. I love that.
Well, you folks here in the house, shake and howdy with him afterwards, and thank him for being here with us today and making some music for us. There's merch available over at the merch table as well. You can take home some of his music or one of those fun bracelets that he hand makes. And again, Laurel Theater Friday night for all you folks who didn't make it out to the show here
Thanks,
today.
Fred. Tell 200 of your closest friends.
Yeah, tell them all. Thank you so much for being
You're
here
welcome,
with
Red.
us.
Thank
Will
you.
you leave us with the last tune?
I will. This is a song I wrote based on my wife and I love watching quiz shows of an evening, and I'm a bit of a smart aleck with that. I like to sort of fire off the answers as quick as I can, and I don't know how many times my wife has said to me, "You should go on this show. You really should." So I wrote a song about what would probably happen if I did. Thanks for having me. It's been lovely. Well, he'd sit and watch the quiz show, and he'd answer every question, get 'em right nearly all the time. Before the contestant, he was cool, calm, and collected. he was never fazed. His wife would sit and stare at him, totally amazed. So they got onto the website to give this thing a go. Her email said, I think my husband should be on your show. They replied, you think he's smart enough to do our quiz? She wrote back in capital letters, he most certainly is. All quiet in the car, the atmosphere's unreal. Driving to the quiz show with a genius at the wheel. She can't believe she married a future superstar. Off to win some money, all quiet in the car. Well, on the show they threw him questions everybody knows. But when they turned the cameras on, the clever husband froze. She sat in the audience, her buttocks clenched real tight. He stood there like a dumbass, only got a few answers right. Her brain was going crazy, her mind was in a flap. She watched the man she thought she knew doing really crap. There wasn't any money and her heart turned to stone. There was very little talking in the car on their way home. All quiet in the car, the atmosphere's unreal. Driving from the quiz show with an idiot at the wheel. Why the hell she marry him? She should have listened to her pa. The lady and the moron, all quiet in the car. They never watch the quiz show now, but what would you expect? She makes him watch Love Island to suit his intellect. Thank you very much. God bless you. Thanks a lot. Thank you, Knoxville. WDVX.
Pete Denahy. Thank y'all. Join us again next time for more real live music on the Blue Plate Special.